Have you ever felt it? The pull of a place that time forgot? A place that stands silent under the moon. Its windows are like vacant eyes, staring into the darkness, waiting for someone to look back. We are drawn to these places. These skeletal remains of what used to be. We tell ourselves it is just curiosity, a dare, a need to see what is left behind. But there is something else, isn't there? A deeper, colder reason. It is the silence that calls to us. It promises secrets. Our first story begins at St. Jude's Hospital. It stands on a hill overlooking the town. They closed it down decades ago. They say it was because of asbestos. But the people who live here know the real reason. They whisper about the things that happened inside. The patients who vanished from their beds. The doctors who heard voices in the empty operating theaters. Now it just sits there, rotting from the inside out. The wind whistles through its broken windows. It sounds like a long, sad sigh. The air around St. Jude's is heavy. It smells of rust. It smells of damp earth. Something antiseptic and sweet, like old medicine. It's a smell that clings to the back of your throat. But everyone knows about the side entrance, a single door in the emergency wing, its lock long since busted. It hangs slightly ajar, an invitation. My friend Leo didn't believe the stories. He called them campfire tales for children. He was a photographer. He loved capturing decay. He packed his camera bag one Tuesday night. He said he would be back before dawn. He promised to bring back pictures that would make me believe. He slipped through that broken side door. The darkness inside was total. It was a thick, suffocating blanket. The only sound was the drip, drip, drip of water somewhere deep within the hospital's guts. He turned on his flashlight. The beam cut a nervous path through the gloom. It revealed a hallway littered with debris, an overturned gurney, scattered papers, a single small shoe. He raised his camera, ready to capture the haunting beauty of it all. He was so focused on the decay. He didn't notice the silence wasn't empty. It was watching him. It was waiting for him. Leo made his way to the maternity ward first. He thought it would be the least frightening place. He was wrong. His flashlight beam swept across rows of empty cribs. They were lined up like tiny metal cages. Some still had faded blankets draped over the rails. As his flash went off, bright and startling, he heard it. A soft sound from the end of the hall, a gentle rocking. He froze. His heart hammered against his ribs. He slowly turned his flashlight toward the sound. At the far end of the ward, one of the empty cribs was moving. It was rocking back and forth, as if an unseen hand were trying to soothe a crying baby. He forced his legs to move. He backed away slowly, then fumbled out of the maternity ward and into the main corridor. He needed to get out. He burst through the side door and out into the night air. He didn't stop running until he was back in his car. He finally looked back. In one of the top floor windows, a single light flickered on, then off. Leo got his pictures, but when he developed them, he saw it. In the reflection on the glass of the photo he took of the crib, a faint image, the blurry, smiling face of a woman, leaning over as if to look at her baby. Our next story takes us to a place of learning. Or, well, what used to be. Blackwood Elementary School. It was closed after the town's main factory shut down. The families just packed up and left. They didn't even bother to pack up the classrooms. They just locked the doors and walked away. The swing sets are rusted chains hanging limp and still. The windows are boarded up with plywood, but graffiti artists have pried some of them open, leaving dark, gaping holes. The smell around Blackwood is different from the hospital. It smells like wet chalk, old paper, like the inside of a book that has been left out in the rain. A smell of forgotten potential. A faded alphabet chart hangs on the wall. A forgotten lunchbox sits on a windowsill, covered in dust. Desks are still arranged in neat rows. It looks like the children just vanished, like they blinked out of existence in the middle of a lesson. This is where we meet Maya. She wasn't a daredevil. She wasn't looking for a thrill. She had gone to Blackwood as a little girl. She had happy memories of the place, or so she thought. One night she was driving past and saw one of the windows was open. An impulse took hold of her. She wanted to see her old classroom. She hoisted herself up and through the broken window of the main office. She landed softly on the dusty floor. Her phone's flashlight cut through the dark. The beam revealed scattered files, a broken telephone. The air was thick and still. Her footsteps made no sound on the worn linoleum floor. Maya found the hallway that led to the primary grade classrooms. The walls were lined with faded construction paper art. Happy suns with smiling faces, lopsided houses with smoke curling from chimneys. It should have been charming. Instead, it was deeply unsettling. Finally, she saw it. A small metal plaque that read, Room 104, Mrs. Gable. The door was slightly ajar. She pushed it open. The hinges let out a long, groaning creak. The sound was shockingly loud in the silence. The room was exactly as she remembered it. The little wooden desks, the green chalkboard, the bookshelf in the corner, still filled with worn copies of old chapter books. She walked over to the chalkboard. Scrawled in the corner in what looked like a child's handwriting were the words, I'm still here. Maya frowned. Probably just a prank from other explorers. She brushed the words away with her hand, leaving a clean, dark square. But as she did, she heard a sound, a faint scratching. It was coming from the chalkboard. On the clean, dark square she had just wiped, new words were appearing. They were being etched into the board by an unseen hand. The scratching sound was frantic, desperate. She watched, frozen in horror as a single sentence formed, Don't leave me again. A memory pricked at the edge of her mind, a memory she had long forgotten, or buried, a little girl in her class, a girl named Lily. She hadn't thought of that name in 20 years. Lily, the quiet girl who sat in the back corner, the girl no one played with. Maya remembered a game of hide-and-seek during recess. She was the seeker. She had counted to 100. She had found everyone except Lily. They found her the next day, hiding in a small dark supply closet at the back of the classroom. She had gotten locked inside. The school closed just a week later. Everyone forgot, but the school remembered. The school wasn't haunted by a ghost. It was haunted by a memory, and now that memory was hers too. She still drives past it sometimes. She can't help it. She says that on quiet nights she can see a light in the window of room 104, a small steady glow, as if someone is in there reading, or writing the same words over and over again. I'm still here. Our final destination is the most beautiful, and perhaps the most sinister, the Grand Alistair Hotel. It was once the jewel of the city, a place of glamour and luxury, a ballroom with crystal chandeliers, a rooftop bar with views of the entire skyline. Rich and famous people stayed there. They fell in love there. They made deals there. They died there. But time was not kind to the Alistair. The glamour faded. The money ran out. Now, it stands empty, a tall, elegant corpse in the heart of the city. The velvet ropes are still in place. The reception desk is empty, save for a single, tarnished silver bell. They say if you ring that bell, someone will answer. Not right away, but eventually. This is the story of Chloe, a journalist for a local blog. She wrote articles about the city's forgotten history. The Alistair was her ultimate prize. She had heard all the rumors, the ghost of a bride, a phantom bellhop. She managed to get a key from a former security guard, an old brass key for a service entrance in the back alley. One night, she let herself in. The silence was immediate and profound. It was a rich silence, cushioned by the thick carpets and heavy drapes. Her flashlight beam danced across the lobby. It caught the sparkle of 1,000 dust motes. She walked to the reception desk. She saw the little silver bell. With a smile, she reached out and gave it a sharp tap. The ding was clear and bright. It echoed through the vast space and then faded, leaving the silence even deeper than before. Not right away, but eventually, when you least expected. She wasn't scared, she was ambitious, a way to make a name for herself. She went up the grand staircase to the guest floors. The hallways were long and dark, each door a sealed secret. She tried a few handles, but they were all locked. She made her way to the top floor, the presidential suite. She knew this door would be locked too, but as she reached for the handle, it turned. The door swung open silently, an invitation. The air that drifted out was cool and smelled faintly of lavender. The suite was pristine, unnaturally so. There was no dust. The bed was perfectly made. A bottle of champagne sat in a silver bucket on a small table, beads of condensation running down its side. It looked like someone was expecting her. She stepped inside. The door clicked shut behind her. She walked over to the window. The view of the city lights was breathtaking. She felt a strange sense of peace, a feeling of coming home. She was so captivated by the view, she didn't hear the soft footsteps behind her. Did you have a pleasant journey? The voice was soft, cultured. It came from a man standing by the door. He smiled at her. It was a kind, welcoming smile. I do apologize for the state of the lobby, he continued. We've been quiet for some time, but we always keep a room ready. You rang the bell, he said. We are so glad you've decided to check in. That was the last anyone heard from Chloe. Her blog is still online. Her last post was titled, "Tonight, I'm checking in to the Grand Alistair." The police searched the hotel. They found her phone and her bag in the dusty lobby, but they never found Chloe. When they finally broke the door down, the room was as empty and dusty as the rest of the hotel. The presidential suite was locked from the inside. But sometimes, late at night, if you look up at the dark facade of the Grand Alistair, you can see a light on in that top-floor suite. A warm, welcoming light, as if the hotel has a new, permanent guest, as if it found a story it wanted to keep, forever. So come with me. Step out of the warm light and into the cool, waiting dark. Let's walk together toward these forgotten places. Let's be the ones who listen, but be warned. Once you hear these stories, once you see these places through my eyes, they may never leave you. They will find a corner in your mind and settle in. They will haunt your dreams. Final hold, music swell, then fade.